Welcome into Fantasy Baseball today on Monday, May 19th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White and Chris Towers. Today on the show, it is time to rank a bunch of interesting waiver wire starting pitchers. Lots of injuries from the weekend as well. Jose Alvarado, not an injury, but a suspension. 80 games and much more. Let's jump in.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Oh, my, that's right. The Bronx Bombers taking 2 out of 3. We'll talk about that at some point. But, Scott, let's start with you. Player of the weekend.
Well, I think the player of the weekend, there were a lot of players who did big things this weekend, but nobody more than Mick Abel, the Phillies call-up, who made his major league debut Sunday in what was intended to be just a spot start, and we'll get to that in a minute. But Mick Abel against the Pirates, 6 shutout innings, struck out 9, walked none, 18 swinging strikes on 84 pitches. He looked phenomenal. And it was kind of surprising for a number of reasons. One, I mean, Mick Abel was a high draft pick a few years ago, but he had fallen off like every major top 100 list prior to the season because his skill set just looked like it fell apart last year as he climbed the ladder. And nobody, like, he pretty much lost all his dynasty appeal. He was off the radar. Now, he had been pitching well at AAA. He had seemed to regain some of that stock. 8 AAA starts, a 2.53 ERA, a 121 WHIP, 9.9 K per 9. The walk rate was high, 3.7 walks per 9 at AAA.
Although that's actually low for him.
Fair enough. 64% strike rate. That's not great. 13% swinging strike rate. Pretty good, but not like, oh, this guy is blowing the bats out of people's hands at AAA. So he was, having a pretty solid AAA season, one that made Mick Abel a prospect of sorts again. But this was beyond anyone's expectations. And a big reason why is he threw 74% of his pitches for strikes. I just talked about how he had control problems this year at AAA, even more historically, as Chris pointed out. But he was just on. And don't take it from me, Sam Jelinek, who is a broadcaster for the Iron Pigs, the Phillies AAA affiliate, he tweeted about this. He says, I have watched every Mick Abel start the last 2 years, plus the final start of 2023. I can guarantee you he has never been that locked in. Seeing him reach that level in the biggest start of his life shows how far he's come. Was always in there. Now he's harnessing it. So, he put a positive spin on it. But the point was he had never even seen Mick Abel look like that before. And it's possible. I mean, this is a talented player. You look at some of the data points on the pitches. I mean, there's clearly stuff there for Mick Abel, and maybe he got to the highest level and he rose to the occasion. We do see that sometimes with prospects. So I'm taking this Mick Abel start very seriously. He is very much a pitching prospect again at this point. In fact, when I write my next prospects report, and probably every prospects report until he gets called up again, he will be among my top 5 prospects to stash. But there's the rub, right? He's going to be in the prospects report still, because as good as he looked in this start, he is getting sent back down. And apparently there's no, like, that was the plan all along. The only reason they called up Mick Abel is because Taijuan Walker appeared too recently in relief to take Aaron Nola's turn in the rotation. So we're going to have Mick Abel fill in for this turn and then reinsert Taijuan Walker. And apparently this start is not changing the Phillies' mind. I think it should, because, I mean, Taijuan Walker is the alternative, but it's not. So if you make a move for Mick Abel, and there are definitely leagues where you should, understand that is with the intention of stashing him. And that worked out great for the people who picked up Logan Henderson after a very strong major league debut. I benefited from that in several leagues. I'm very glad I didn't have to throw a bunch more fab at him to get him the second time around. But that's what you're getting into with Mick Abel. There is not a second turn lined up for him
yet.
Yeah.
That for me, it comes down to, like, sure, they're sending him down, and that's the plan, and that all makes sense. It might only take one Taijuan Walker start.
And Taijuan Walker is in Coors Field this week, so
yeah, could
be the one.
Could be.
So if he gets knocked around there is a chance that we could see Mick Abel back up with the Phillies pretty soon. I mean, is Aaron Nola going to be out that long? I think it's an ankle injury, so it doesn't seem like it's anything too serious. And maybe it's more so just to get him back on track the way everything has gone with Aaron Nola. Speaking of which, I mean, bunch of names who went on the IL this weekend. Nola was one. Cole Reagans with that groin tightness continues to be a problem. Seth Lugo with right middle finger inflammation. On the lower end, someone like Eduardo Rodriguez, but we did lose some other bigger names there. So we need waiver wire replacements. Mick Abel, maybe more of a long-term answer. Obviously, someone that won't help you this week, but it gets into the conversation of ranking all these young, exciting-ish starting pitchers right now, because it seems like there are a lot. So let's try and talk through this. I feel like, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan Weathers and Logan Henderson kind of feel like they're at the top of this list right now of the waiver wire pitchers that have emerged recently. Do we feel differently about that?
Among guys who are widely available right now, I think they're clearly the top two. I would personally give Weathers a slight edge for talent, but Henderson obviously in a much better situation. So I think it's really close. And I think they're both, or at least they were earlier today, both 48% rostered.
I kind of think, and I think you were presenting this also, Chris, but the way I would put it is Weathers is kind of in his own tier at the top.
Again, I think on talent, being that it's the Marlins, it's bad defense, bad run support. I think that drops him a little bit, but he would be the top one for me for sure.
Mm-hmm. So then we drop down into another group here, and Jack Leiter had himself a nice week, 2 quality starts in a row on Sunday, 7+ innings against the Astros. Left him in maybe a little bit too long here. He winds up 3 runs over 7 innings, 4 strikeouts. He's at the White Sox this week, so obviously if you're looking for a short-term fix, that's a great matchup. Noah Cameron returned to the Royals, and he pitched very well, 6 1/3, 1 run allowed, 3 strikeouts to 0 walks. Has some pretty good minor league numbers. And then Zebby Matthews made his season debut for the Twins. Obviously didn't work out very well last year. Has put up some nice numbers in the minors. Velocity was up, but the final line, this start was not good at the Brewers, which is a good matchup right now. 3 innings, 4 runs allowed, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. So if we put those next 3 names in the mix.
Well, wait a second, Frank. I think there's one big name you're missing.
Is it Hayden Birdsong?
That's right.
So, he was like the next name that I was going to get to. So let's just throw him in this mix as well.
Yeah, throw him in there too, because I think it would be next for me. I think it would be after Weathers and Henderson.
And I totally get it, because Hayden Birdsong returning to the Giants rotation and has pitched very well out of the bullpen this year. 2.31 ERA, 129 WHIP, over a strikeout per inning. Walks are higher than you'd like, but good amount of whiffs there for Birdsong. So if we're ranking that next group of 4, Birdsong, Zebby, Noah Cameron, Jack Leiter, how do you rank that group?
So, like I said, Weathers, I understand we're moving past him, but he's a tier at the top on his own. Then you got Henderson and Birdsong for me as the next tier. And I would say those first 2 tiers, pick them up anywhere they're available. They need to be rostered. Beyond that, it's
sorry, you put Birdsong in that tier?
I put Birdsong in that tier.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the stuff is terrific, and we could get into that more. It'll take me a second to pull up my notes, but he's so his fastball has a 24% whiff rate, 19 inches of induced vertical break. The slider has a 32% whiff rate. The changeup has an almost 50% whiff rate. He's got a 13% swinging strike rate on the season, very high fly ball rate, which is great for the Giants venue. And I think Birdsong, he has relief pitcher eligibility too in leagues where that matters. I think he's going to be a really nice find. And I know in a lot of 15-team roto leagues, he's been stashed this whole time because everybody's been waiting for this moment when he finally took his place in the Giants rotation. So I'm excited about Birdsong. And I would say must add for him. So go ahead.
I'm a little less optimistic about Birdsong, partially just because we saw him as a starter last year, and look, he was 22 years old. It was his first time starting, but he was pretty bad. Obviously, he's been awesome in a relief role so far, but it's a 2.31 ERA, a 4.15 xERA. He's getting hit pretty hard. He gives up a lot of fly balls.
Yeah, I was presenting the fly balls as a good thing.
For limiting hits, yeah, but obviously it's still a problem for home runs. And then it's just the whiff rates. Like, if the 50% whiff rate on the changeup is real, that's phenomenal. But we're dealing with very small sample sizes, so I have a little more faith in Weathers, Matthews, and Henderson for me would all be ahead of Birdsong.
I do wish the control was a little better for Birdsong, and I think it started out that way. I know that was one of the big talking points for him this spring, is he was like walking nobody. And part of the reason he struggled in the rotation last year is he had nearly 6 walks per 9, which no pitcher can get away with. But yeah, there have been some more walks recently. He does have a different pitch mix overall from last year, though. Last year he was leaning a lot more on a curveball, and this year it's more sliders and that changeup, and relying on the fastball less. Which I think it's a good fastball, but when you have good secondaries like that, it's probably you don't want to rely on the fastball too much. So I think there's definitely a lot of talent there for Hayden Birdsong, and I'm excited about him. The other names here, I think, again, I want to go as far as to call any of these must add. If Zebby Matthews had a better outing here, maybe he would have been, but there isn't a lot here to, I guess he didn't give up hard contact. That would be the main thing. But and the velocity was up last year from where we saw it. I know that was the storyline with Zebby Matthews this spring, up 1.6 miles per hour on the fastball in this start. So we did see that. But kind of the issues I was worrying about with him leading up to this promotion, his last 3 starts at AAA where the whiff rate collapsed and he was not showing the elite control that had come to define Zebby Matthews as a prospect. Both of those came back to bite him in this start. And he threw I think it was just 59% of his pitches for strikes, which is a bad strike percentage. So if Zebby Matthews is not going to be, if control isn't going to be the defining characteristic for Zebby Matthews, I'm not sure there's enough here to get excited about. We'll give him a pass. I'm not declaring a final verdict on Zebby Matthews or anything, but in shallow leagues where roster space is limited, I don't think he's a hot ticket item based on the way this first start went. I forgot what my other point was. So go ahead.
I think in terms of talent, he's not far off from Henderson or Weathers. And the main thing for me would be just, I'm fine deprioritizing him relative to those other guys just because his first start was so underwhelming that if he had gone out and struck out 7 over 6 shutout innings, he's a $100+ fab player. And because he was underwhelming, I think people are going to overlook him. And I'm trying to sneak in a few lower dollar bids on him because I do still want him on my team and I'm still trying to add him. And I do still think, even though this was an underwhelming performance, I still think there's a lot to like about Zebby Matthews moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to throw strikes, though. I mean, that's the thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He looked great in the first inning. He struck out the side. Second inning was a little more iffy. He gave up a run, and then the third inning kind of imploded on him there. But he got off to a great start. I think he just kind of lost the feel for it as the start went on. So he does have to prove that he can do it at the major league level. We've seen some of these other guys, look a little bit better.
That was my other point. Is major level at a 6.69 ERA.
Way too early for this, Scott. It is way too early for Robo Scott to be popping in here. Are you here?
I see you. It never gets interrupted on my end. So I don't know. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
You look good now.
Okay. Yeah, Zebby Matthews got a good chunk of time in the majors last year and had a 6.69 ERA. So that's another reason for skepticism.
Yeah. Last two names here we haven't really talked about, Noah Cameron and Jack Leiter. Are they just the bottom of the list? Bottom of this list, I guess.
Yeah, I think Leiter is more interesting than Cameron. But that is not necessarily a reflection on Leiter doing a lot right now. It's more just I don't think there's much of anything there with Noah Cameron. I know he was pitching well at AAA, and he's only allowed 3 hits and 1 earned run in his first 2 major league starts, and that's very impressive. But it's a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. None of the secondaries really look like great pitches. It just, I think this is going to catch up to him in a big way. This feels like a total fluke.
All right. Well, I hope you're wrong because I picked him up in Tower. I need help right now. I lost Cole Reagans, man. I lost, I don't know, a couple other players, Bryce Miller. So we are struggling.
Leiter has looked good he's gotten a good result anyway. His last 2 starts.
Control's been a little better.
Yeah,
strikeouts haven't been there though.
I know
the White Sox this week, so
he's been leaning on the slider a lot more in the last couple starts. I don't know what that means yet, but that might help explain the turnaround. And yeah, a good matchup for Jack Leiter this week. So I think he's fine. I think he's basically on equal footing with Zebby Matthews for me. And then I agree with Chris on Noah Cameron completely. I know he's had a good minor league career. And if the things he was doing well in the minors had carried over in these first 2 starts, meaning missing bats at a nice clip in spite of an ordinary looking fastball, if he'd actually been succeeding in that way, then I'd be a little more open-minded to this start to his career. But it's just, it looks like he can't keep getting away with it situation.
All right. Well, those are most of the interesting starting pitchers, I would say, for now. We'll bring up a few more a little bit later on, but we do have to keep things moving here. Chris, I know you wanted to talk about Miguel Vargas. We'll also get to him in just a little bit. Wanted to give a couple shout outs from the weekend. Wilmer Flores, not that we're looking to add him, but just an awesome game on Friday. One of the best of his career. 3 for 5 with a triple dong and 8 RBI in that game. But like I said, I just don't think there's enough there to go out and rush and must add player if he's available. And shout out to Jackson Churio, who robbed a game-tying home run in the 8th inning of that game on Sunday. That was an awesome catch for him. Let's take our first break, and when we return, we'll get into the news, and we'll do all of that right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. News and notes, a lot from the weekend. Jose Alvarado has been suspended 80 games for testing positive for a performance-enhancing drug. What happens next in the Phillies bullpen? Well, we got a taste on Sunday right away. Matt Strahm was used in the 8th inning to face 9-1-2 in the Pirates lineup. Then Jordan Romano closed it out for his 5th save. And Romano, despite having bad overall numbers, has looked much better in May. 7 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts to 1 walk. Has been picking up saves recently as well. Do you guys think Romano gets the majority of the saves and maybe they mix in a Matt Strahm? What is your feel for the Phillies bullpen right now?
That's it. I mean, exactly. As long as Jordan Romano keeps pitching like this, and it's a very small sample, but you're always working with very small samples from relievers. It was a very small sample where he struggled so badly. So clearly he's regained the trust of Rob Thompson. That became clear even before the suspension for Alvarado. It looked like at least a 50-50 split between the two of them. And now that Alvarado's out, just given the way we've seen Rob Thompson manage his bullpen with the Phillies, I would imagine he will play matchups to some degree with Matt Strahm, who I think already has a couple saves this season. And I suspect we'll get 8 to 12 the rest of the way. And look, if Romano collapses, it might be more than that. But that's how I see the split right now, is Romano getting like 2/3 of the saves.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Phillies go out and make a trade at some point. Obviously, they're trying to compete, and they have a pretty good farm system too. I know they have some names that have popped up in the minors this year, and obviously Mick Abel, and they have all this, I don't know, seemingly it looks like they have all this pitching depth all of a sudden with, Andrew Painter is coming at some point. Not that they'll trade him, but, maybe a Mick Abel or something like that. So we'll see if they go out and trade for a bullpen piece at some point. But I do think, Jordan Romano, the guy for now. Maybe Matt Strahm gets mixed in there as well. Some other Jose Alvarado replacements in shallower leagues. Names like Emilio Pagan, 3 saves this weekend, 68% rostered. Kenley Jansen, 64%. Will Vest, I just feel, famous last words maybe, but I feel pretty confident Will Vest is like mostly the guy for the Tigers right now, just because they've really been using Tommy Canley in 7th and 8th innings a lot, and then Will Vest in the 9th. Some names in much deeper leagues, if you're just desperate for saves, like a Jesus Tinoco or Seth Halverson, who picked up a save for the Rockies this weekend. Not that we're excited about that, but, in leagues deep enough, you are desperate for anyone that you can get. A bunch of names went on the IL this weekend. I mentioned a lot of the pitchers already, but also Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton went on the 7-day concussion IL after that nasty collision on Thursday. Tyler O'Neill went back on the IL with left shoulder discomfort, and Xavier Edwards was placed in the IL due to a left mid-back strain retroactive to May 15th. I'll have some outfield and shortstop replacements in just a little bit. Spencer Strider appears set to return on Tuesday against the Nationals. Start or sit?
I mean, the fact that it's on Tuesday, meaning he's going to line up for 2 starts right away. Yeah. I know I was saying on Thursday's show or Friday's show before it was clear when he was coming back, I was like, I'd really prefer to give him a start, given that his velocity was down so much in that sim game. But when he lines up for 2 starts right away, I just can't imagine sitting Spencer Strider for that.
Yordan Alvarez is still feeling the muscle strain in his right hand that landed him on the IL. The Astros will not activate him until the issue is completely gone. George Kirby said Sunday that he's ready to rejoin the Mariners after making his 3rd rehab start on Friday, though a decision has not been made yet for George Kirby. Hayden Wesneski, we talked about. Jared Jones apparently will meet with doctors on Tuesday, and surgery is an option, season-ending surgery, though nothing has been decided yet. Apparently, he had a setback while he was throwing. Jazz Chisholm fielded grounders on Friday. He's been out all month with a right oblique strain. The hope is for him to return at some point in June. I would imagine probably later June, mid to late June, something like that. Christian Campbell was seen taking reps at first base on Friday. He's never played the position in professional ball, but obviously they have a need there, and it would create an opening for someone like Marcelo Meyer or Roman Anthony if Christian Campbell can play first base. That didn't last very long. Evan Carter also went on the IL due to a right quad strain retroactive to May 17th, and it was a grade 2 strain, which means he'll miss more than the minimum time there for Evan Carter. Justin Martinez is scheduled to throw an inning at AAA on Tuesday as part of his rehab, and saw him available in a few leagues. He could be back soon, and my guess is he would probably just take over the closer role, right?
I would imagine so.
Yes.
Kevin Ginkel's obviously taken himself out of the running with his performance, and Shelby Miller's been pretty shaky too. So as long as Justin Martinez, they're not going to activate him.
He's healthy.
Not healthy. Yeah, as long as he's healthy, he's the closer.
And it might be as soon as Wednesday. Like, a lot of times relievers will go on a rehab assignment, and especially he's only missed like 2 or 3 weeks. Might just need 1 inning.
Yeah. Chandler Simpson was out of the lineup Sunday with right hand soreness. Also suffered some facial injuries after a hard slide on Saturday. Do you guys start or sit Chandler Simpson this week?
Starting Rhoda, not in points. That feels pretty easy.
All right. Brandon Woodruff threw multiple simulated innings during a bullpen on Sunday and is expected to begin a new rehab assignment on Wednesday. Speaking of the Brewers, they have to figure out what to do with Jacob Misiorowski because he threw 7 innings of 1-run ball at AAA on Thursday. He's hitting like 103 miles per hour on his fastball. And, the walks had been down, which was just a huge issue for him in the past. And he's looked really, really good. So I don't know what the Brewers are going to do between, Woodruff and Henderson and Misiorowski.
I mean, I don't.
It's still a pretty mediocre looking bullpen or rotation,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I keep seeing this idea, some chatter about which starting pitcher to add, and not Henderson because the Brewers have all these injured pitchers coming back. And well, when are they coming back? It's not like there's a clear timeline for any of them. And Chad Patrick is in the rotation.
Yeah,
Quinn
like that.
Priester is
I don't
in
think
the
those guys are
rotation.
as good as Logan Henderson.
Like, I look at the Brewers rotation, I'm like, man, they're in dire straits. Why are they not calling up Jacob Mizorowski now?
Yeah.
Much less keeping Logan Henderson around.
Yeah. And Jose Quintana is on the IL with a shoulder injury, and he's going for a second opinion. So it could turn out to be a long-term injury for him as well. So even if Woodruff returns, Mizorowski, if he keeps pitching like this, is probably going to get an opportunity sometime soon, or at least he should.
And I don't think Brandon Woodruff's going to be Brandon Woodruff when he gets back.
That's also my assumption. Yeah. Him and Clayton Kershaw, unfortunately.
I understand him getting the chance. He's a franchise icon.
Yeah.
But it's I don't think it's going to end well.
And I'm not going to foreclose the possibility that he could be useful. I just not expecting it.
Yeah.
Tommy Edman was activated and in the lineup on Sunday, so he's good to be thrown back into fantasy lineups this week. Speaking of prospects, Royals prospect Jack Caglione was promoted to AAA on Sunday, and in 38 games at AA, he hit .322 with 9 home runs and 43 RBI. If he continues to hit, would not be surprised if we see him in June, July.
I would be surprised if we saw him before June. Like, if he gets off to, if he has a good first week there, like, the Royals need bats,
especially in the outfield.
Yeah, like they just sent I'm completely blanking on his name. Converted catcher. They just sent him back down.
MJ Melendez.
MJ Melendez, that's the one. Like,
they're running Drew Waters out there again.
Kevin Biggio's playing a lot for them. Like, there is opportunity for Jack Caglione to play.
Now, I don't know if people listening to the full-length podcast here don't listen to Fantasy Baseball Express. And you should, but I understand if you don't. Every Thursday, we release the audio version of the Prospects Report, Frank and I, and Caglione and Jacob Mizorowski actually were 2 new additions to the 5 on the verge, meaning the 5 prospects most deserving of stashing in fantasy. So I'd say the trend lines are headed even more that direction for both.
All right, the Pirates reinstated Spencer Horwitz from the IL on Saturday. He's 11% rostered, first and second base eligibility. Any interest in Spencer Horwitz?
Very limited. Deeper leagues. The fact that he's multi-eligible helps, I guess, but my expectations are not super high. I didn't understand why the Pirates made him their quote unquote big off-season acquisition. I didn't really see what they see in him. So I think he's just a platoon bat.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly, I need to see him get hot before I have any interest.
The Rockies promoted one of their pitching prospect, Carson Palmquist, this weekend, but he pitches for the Rockies, so we're probably not interested, right?
That is not exactly what I would have said, yes.
Yeah. Lots of strikeouts in the minors, but yeah, it's a rough debut on Friday as well. And unfortunately, we saw this one coming. The Orioles fired Brandon Hyde this weekend and named Tony Manzolino their interim manager. And I mean, you feel bad for Brandon Hyde, who started with that team when they were kind of down in the dumps and brought them back, to relevance and kind of coached them up and made the postseason a few times here. And it's not really his fault that they have the worst pitching in baseball, but I guess there has to be a fall guy. So it's
front office covering its own behind with this.
Can I very quickly share my favorite detail about this Orioles season?
Sure.
They gave out a bobblehead of their owner in April. That is like, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Like, he's been the owner for like 12 months too. Like, it's not even like they haven't accomplished anything under him. He's the owner. Who wants a bobblehead of their team, of the rich guy who owns their team? And
is
then,
he,
of course, it's happening.
I don't even know who the Orioles owner is.
I have no idea. Some Rubenstein, I think, is his name.
That sounds right.
I mean, you could understand if it was like a Mark Cuban situation.
Yeah, like if it was like a celebrity, but that one just, and then the fact that it's David Rubenstein, the fact that it's in the midst of an absolutely disastrous season is just also very funny.
All right, well, Well, let's get into some waiver wire names from the weekend and start on the hitter side of things and some shallower league names. Just wanted to mention here again, Ivan Herrera. I mean, the guy is a hitting machine. 3 for 4 with 4 RBI on Friday. 8 games since returning. He's hitting .464 with 1 home run, a 1229 OPS. He's also been DHing quite a bit since returning, so pretty much just playing every day right now. 75% rostered. Look, there's a quarter of one catcher leagues out there. Ivan Herrera has to be rostered. It's just if you have, if you have Sean Murphy on your team or someone else like the back end, Hunter Goodman, as much as I like him, like I would drop those guys first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like Chris has never been righter about a player than Ivan Herrera. He's been right plenty, but this is like
it feels good.
He was very loudly banging the drum for Ivan Herrera, and Herrera looks like a total stud.
It feels good to get. It feels good to get one right.
Yeah,
you know.
Let's talk about Josh Young, who's really picked things up as well. 2 for 4 with his 7th home run on Friday. Then he stole a base on Sunday. Actually has 3 steals already. Last 15 games hitting .302, 5 homers, 11 RBI, a 943 OPS, 75% rostered. Saw him out there in a few shallower points leagues here. I mean, is this another situation where it's just a must roster player? Josh Young is really picking things up lately.
In points, I think it's hard to get him to that place. But in any roto league with a corner infield spot, any league with a corner infield spot, I think Josh Young, has to be rostered. And he probably is pretty close to that at this point.
He is among the 10 sleeper hitters for this upcoming week.
Mm-hmm. Would you drop an Alec Bohm for him? That's the name that's rostered in more leagues than Young.
I know Bohm has been like just completely absent this year, and I expect him to come around. Now, is the upside so high end that if you see something else more usable in the meantime, you're going to trade him out? No, I wouldn't say that. It's just different kind of contributions from Young and Bohm. Bohm is going to be probably the better batting average bet the rest of the way. Young, the better home run bet. But of course, that was true coming into the season too.
Some outfield replacements. We had a big game for Austin Hayes on Friday, 2 for 4 with a sock and a shoe. I know it's a really small sample size, what he's done with the Reds this year, but he's been really good so far. Jordan Beck had a huge game on Saturday, 3 for 5 with a double dong in that one. And Taylor Ward is on a bit of a home run binge. 2 more home runs this weekend. Last 7 games, he's hitting .310 with 4 homers and 9 RBI. How would you guys rank those 3? Austin Hayes, Jordan Beck, and Taylor Ward.
Oh, Bohm is hitting like .330 over his last 25 games. He's the numbers were so in the tank to start with that I didn't even realize that. So anyway, Beck or Taylor Ward? Is that what you were asking us?
And Austin Hayes. How do you rank those 2?
And Austin Hayes. Well, I'll point out that Ward and Beck are both sleeper hitters for this upcoming week. But I do rank Hayes rest of season. I rank Hayes at the top of the list, followed, I guess, by Beck and then Ward.
It's one of those ones where like I feel like Jordan Beck has had like 4 good days all year, and he's got he had a 3 homer game.
That sounds right.
Or maybe it was 3 homers across a doubleheader or something like that. He's got the 2 homer game here. I feel like he had another 2 homer game. Like he's just like, it's just been a handful of good games. There is theoretically more upside there for him than with Taylor Ward, just because we have a very good idea of what Taylor Ward is. And it's a guy who ranks as like the 37th best outfielder at the end of the season if he stays healthy and plays the whole year.
But you never feel great about having.
Yeah, the actual numbers aren't that good. He hits .260. He hits 24 to 26 home runs. Like, not great run RBI production. He's the kind of guy who's fine to have around, but he's not someone you shouldn't be trying to improve on.
Shortstop replacements. We lost out on Xavier Edwards this weekend. Welcome back to Ezekiel Tovar, who had a big game on Saturday, 5 for 6 with a home run. And last season, he hit .269, 26 home runs, and 6 steals, 58% rostered, 7 home games this week, all in Coors Field, but some tough pitchers there on the schedule. Do you guys see Ezekiel Tovar as an okay shortstop replacement?
Yeah, he's okay. And we've been discontented, I guess, with the shortstop replacements. Even though it's a deep position, most of the good ones are rostered already. But we were talking just last week how there's like 25 shortstops worth rostering, and I guess he's among them. He's at the lower end of that group. So bad plate discipline. It probably eliminates Tovar from points league consideration, except as an emergency. Like, this is the best I could do off the waiver wire situation.
How would you guys rank Tovar, Javi Baez, and Mason Wynn?
Mason Wynn?
Yeah, gap. I'd go Tovar ahead of Baez. I don't buy it with Baez. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong on that one, but I don't see much reason to buy it.
All right. In 2-catcher leagues, look, Drake Baldwin, we brought his name up a lot recently. The guy just won't stop hitting. 1 for 4 with a home run on Saturday, 2 more hits with an RBI on Sunday. Last 6 games, he's got 10 hits, 2 homers, 5 runs, 6 RBI. Has started 5 of the past 8 games. I mean, it's really eating into the playing time of Sean Murphy as well now. He's 28% rostered. I know I asked you guys last week, but maybe it's changed by now. How do you rank Drake Baldwin, Dalton Rushing, and Moises Ballesteros in 2-catcher leagues? You could throw Edgar Caro in that mix too.
Yeah, I mean, I had Baldwin at the top even then. So he's still at the top. And in fact, probably ahead of Sean Murphy at this point.
Might be, yeah.
I was making that exchange in a couple leagues where I had Murphy and Baldwin was available, or at least trying to make that exchange. Not throwing like a ton of fab dollars in it, but yeah. So Baldwin 1. I'm going to go Rushing 2. And then, I'm going to sell out for upside, Ballesteros over Caro. But Caro is the safer bet between the non-Baldwin catchers there.
Yeah, I would go Baldwin, Caro, Ballesteros, Rushing. I just don't like, unless Will Smith gets hurt, it's just really hard to see a path for Rushing. Whereas like Ballesteros, I think he started 4 of the first 5.
He hasn't done anything.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything, but he's in the lineup at DH. Like they like the bat.
And I think it's a short-term absence for Ian Happ, right?
Sure.
That's what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
If I'm kind of just thinking Ballesteros is going to be back in the minors soon. Could be wrong, but I mean, Rushing, he started 2 games and they were both huge games. So hopefully he forces the Dodgers' hand at some point. And that's the hope.
I'm pretty sure Baldwin is lower rostered than both Rushing and Ballesteros. So just go.
I think so.
Just go at him. Yeah. It doesn't. He's low enough that it doesn't matter.
Rushing is up to 43% rostered, and Drake Baldwin's only 28%.
Yeah,
so.
I'd much rather have Baldwin.
Pretty big difference there. And
it's not like Rushing's obviously a better prospect. Baldwin's a really good prospect of his own.
Yeah.
I mean, the data for him at AAA, especially after the All-Star break, was incredible.
The rushing thing, too, it's just like, not only is Will Smith there, but Will Smith has been awesome this year. He's hitting like 360 so far. He's been really good too. So yeah, it's an embarrassment of riches, like it always is for the Dodgers right now. Some names in deeper leagues. Big weekend for Chase Meidroth, who had a steal on Friday, a sock and a shoe on Saturday, and he's picking things up. Miguel Vargas, Chris, who I know you wanted to talk about, he had himself a huge weekend, double dong on Friday, another home run on Saturday. He's having a big May overall. Will Benson of the Reds has 5 home runs in his past 4 games. Matthew Lugo with the Angels is hitting 360 with 3 home runs in 9 games since being called up. And DJ LeMahieu is going to get a chance to play here. Lots of injuries for the Yankees. Hit a home run on Saturday. He started 3 of 4 games, and he's about to have first, second, and third base eligibility. So maybe that can help in a deeper league. But do any of these names stand out?
Vargas is kind of interesting. I mean, he's always put up good numbers at the minors, and then whenever he's gotten a chance to play at the major league level, he's been terrible. And he is up to I think close to 600 plate appearances. So it's not an especially small sample size for Vargas at the major league level. So the likeliest outcome is that this is just a random hot streak. But we do have that minor league track record. We do have pretty good quality of contact metrics here. And he has all 6 of his homers in the past 20. Yeah, he has all 6 of his homers in the past 22 games. More walks than strikeouts in that stretch for Miguel Vargas. So could be nothing, could be a late bloomer for a guy who has shown talent in the past. So I think he's moderately interesting, certainly more so than like Will Benson or any of the guys that you mentioned with him.
So just to put a finer point on the numbers, last 22 games, if you were including Sunday's game in there, last 22, 350 batting average, 6 home runs. You said more walks than strikeouts. It's 9 walks, 8 strikeouts in those 22 games, which was supposed to be a big part of his skill set when he was being hyped up to debut, is just tons of contact. And we're seeing it now. He's 25. Sometimes it just takes a while. I say that as somebody who was banging the drum pretty hard for Miguel Vargas prior to his rookie season and obviously regretted it in the years since. But he's getting an extended look with the White Sox because what other choice do they have? He's triple eligible. And it's all looking good all of a sudden. So I think in standard roto leagues, it's time to take a shot on Vargas again.
Agree with that.
Interesting eligibility too. First, third, and outfield for Miguel Vargas. I didn't even realize he had the first base, but I guess he picked that up recently. So yeah, definitely a name to be looking at in deeper leagues for now. Let's take our final break, and when we return, we'll take a look at some waiver wire pitchers and the rest of this weekend's action right after this quick commercial break.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver, touchdown!
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year!
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals!
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today, taking a look at waiver wire pitchers from the weekend. We spoke a lot about the most interesting names that are emerging lately, but there were a lot of injuries. So we'll take a look at Scott's sleeper pitchers. Just wanted to remind people who those names were. Logan Henderson up at the top, AJ Smith-Shawver, Drew Rasmussen, Gavin Williams, Jose Soriano, Yusei Kikuchi, Nick Martinez, Mitch Keller, Will Warren, and Jamison Tyone. Some names a little bit lower down the list. Rasmussen, who I just mentioned, had a great start this weekend, 6 shutout innings, 5 strikeouts. He gets the Blue Jays. Clark Schmidt, a quality start against the Mets, although he did walk 5 here, had some issues throwing strikes, but 6 innings, 2 runs for him. And he is at the Rockies. Rockies are bad, but I guess it's still Coors Field. Severino and Landon Roop, I don't think those guys are very good, but they had good starts this weekend, and they have good matchups this week. Severino against the Angels, and Roop is at the Nationals. So I guess if we're just ranking them for this week, how would you guys rank Rasmussen against the Blue Jays, Clark Schmidt at Colorado, Severino home against the Angels, and Landon Roop at the Nationals?
I think that's my ranking. Rasmussen definitely number 1 because he's on my sleeper pitchers list. Schmidt would be number 2. He didn't miss it by much at Colorado, but it's Colorado. I'm just not. I'm not that scared for road pitchers in Colorado, at least right now. Severino or Roop, I could go either way. They both feel like huge gambles. So no strong opinion on those last 2.
I would put Severino ahead of Clark Schmidt, just because I don't think there's a ton of upside in the long term with Clark Schmidt anyway. So if we're just talking about this week, I prefer the matchup versus the Angels, who are striking out a ton compared to, it's the Rockies. I know they're terrible. I know the talent level especially is really bad. They are still like a middle of the pack offense at home. They have the 17th best home WOBA. Now, when you do that by weighted runs created plus, this is by far the worst lineup in baseball at home. But because Coors Field is Coors Field, even a bad lineup is still decent.
Middle of the road.
Yeah. And you never know how certain guys' stuff is going to play.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it could come back to bite me at some point. Yeah. Maybe we see a rash of 11 to 12 games. No. Like, that's the score. Like, 12 to 11.
Yeah,
the Rockies lose. Maybe we see a rash of those mid-season and starting pitchers at Coors Field comes back to bite me. It hasn't come back to bite me yet. Like, in all the years I've been picking out streamer pitchers, sleeper pitchers for the upcoming week, I've pretty much treated ones at Coors Field like they're radioactive.
Yeah.
But I've done away with that this year, and so far so good.
I don't think these starting pitchers are very good either, but they had strong starts this weekend, so figured I would give them a mention. Jeffrey Springs, 6 2/3 innings, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. He's allowed 2 earned runs or fewer in 4 straight. Andre Palante had a great start at the Royals, 7 innings, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, back-to-back 7-inning quality starts for him. And Cade Povich, 5 2/3, 2 runs, a season high, 9 strikeouts. Anything to see here with Povich, Palante, or Jeffrey Springs?
Povich has these flashes where he looks kind of interesting, and then even just when you look under the hood on this one, 8 whiffs on 99 pitches, he doesn't get enough swings on chases. He just doesn't generate chases, and he doesn't generate whiffs in the strike zone. So it's really hard to be a consistently high strikeout pitcher if that's the case. And I don't know. I think there's some interesting tools there with Cade Povich. I don't really have a lot of faith in the Orioles to be the one to figure it out. So yeah, that's also part of it.
Mm-hmm. Clayton Kershaw made his season debut this weekend, and it was a pretty rough one. 4 innings, 5 runs, 3 walks to 2 strikeouts here. 10 whiffs on 83 pitches is okay. The velocity actually was up quite a bit from where he was at in the rehab outings. Like, he wasn't throwing 87 miles per hour with his fastball anymore. But it's still just down from, where he typically has been in his career.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like he was overthrowing to get to 89. Like, the command wasn't good. It was very discouraging. Not that my expectations were particularly high, but it's Clayton Kershaw. I'm never going to root against him. But yeah, I didn't see much to be optimistic about in this one.
If you picked him up, I mean, he's 55% rostered, so a decent amount of people did pick him up. Are you holding Kershaw? It's only 1 start, or would you drop him for any of the names we brought up earlier?
I mean, Weathers, Henderson, Birdsong.
Yeah. I might cut it off
Matthews.
there.
Yeah. I know. I would take Zeb Matthews over him. Clark Schmidt there's probably some leagues where Clark Schmidt is available. I just said I'm not that interested in him. I think I'd rather have him than Clayton Kershaw. Will Warren, another guy I'm not super interested in, but I think is around the same roster rate. Rather have him than Clayton. This is mostly
you're going a lot deeper than me.
Mostly a reflection of my lack of faith in Clayton Kershaw, which makes me very sad.
I think there are some interesting things about Will Warren. I just don't think there's much priority in rostering. He has a sleeper pitcher for this week, but that's I don't think many people are actually going to take me up on that recommendation. So I'd give Kershaw a little more time before I resorted to that kind of move. But that is not meant to reflect confidence in Kershaw either. I think most likely he ends up being useless.
Mm-hmm. Let's fire up the drop-o-meter for these 4 names, and been getting a lot of questions about a lot of them, and I totally get why. Taj Bradley, a rough start at the Marlins, 4 innings, 5 runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. It's a 4.80 ERA. It's a 1.34 WHIP. He's still 78% rostered. Drop-o-meter 1 to 10 on Taj Bradley.
Oh, it's 8.5. Is that too high? It's hard to just throw a number out there without comparing it to other pitchers.
No, I think he's fringy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about Sandy Alcantara? Another bad one against Tampa Bay. 5 innings, 4 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 7.99 ERA, and a 1.61 WHIP for Sandy, who I know we've said this a lot this season. I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to wind up on a better team at some point this year, but it's, how long do we have to wait until that happens? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's if you are stashing him, you have to think of it as a stash. There's no way I'm starting him right now. So it's just I think at some point he will pay off. And I'd rather it be on my team than on someone else's. But it's kind of the same argument you're using for stashing Bubba Chandler or Jacob Misiorowski, right? Where it's just, you just hope they get called up and are good. I just hope Sandy Alcantara figures it out. The stuff was better, I thought, in this one. Like he averaged, I think, 98 miles an hour with his fastball, hit 100. The changeup looked really good. And then you look up and it's another bad start. So what does it matter?
I mean, he's not throwing enough strikes is a big part of it. And I'm seeing that consistently with pitchers who are underperforming this year. It's a 62% strike rate for Alcantara this year, when at his best, he's 68 to 69. And I know that may not sound like much to people who don't have a frame of reference for that. That's 62 versus 68, 69. That's like opposite ends of the spectrum almost. So that's a big part of Alcantara's struggles. Misiorowski's not worth rostering in every. You were comparing Alcantara, stashing him to like Misiorowski or Mick Abel. I wouldn't say Abel and Misiorowski are worth rostering in every league.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So does that mean we're at that point with Alcantara? Because I kind of think we are. I'm going to go like 7 here.
It's one of those. It's one of these ones where like people ask, "Can I drop him?" Yeah, you can drop him.
You just hope you wouldn't have to.
Yeah, I would hope I have someone who's less interesting, but like there are plenty of leagues where I'm legitimately like it. I was looking at the Memorial Magazine, the Roto League that we do, and I've got like 5 hitters on my bench, which is way too many hitters for my bench. But I don't want to drop Francisco Alvarez or Anthony Santander or Kyle Manzardo, even though I don't have a place to play them. Mm-hmm. So like there will be situations where, you probably have to drop Sandy Alcantara. I'm going to try really hard not to, but you absolutely can.
What about Lucas Giolito? 4 innings, 6 runs. He allowed 3 home runs in this one, and through 4 starts, a 7.08 ERA and a 1.52 WHIP.
So remember his velocity picked up in his previous start, which was a good one. It got back to where it was in 2021 before all the elbow troubles. It carried over to this start, but the result was horrible. And now this is 2 out of 3 starts have been horrible. And so it's probably fine. Like, I'm not totally without hope for Lucas Giolito, but I'm going to go, if I went 8.5 on Taj Bradley, I'll go 9 on Giolito.
All right.
Drop the meter. And
I've got to ask, Shane Baz couldn't even get it done at the Marlins. 6 innings, 9 hits, 5 runs, 2 homers allowed in this one, all the way up to a 5.33 ERA and a 1.41 WHIP. Woof. Shane Baz.
This is the lowest on the drop-o-meter for me. How much lower than Alcantara's 7? I'm gonna go an even 5 for Baz.
Would you drop him for any of the names earlier?
I think I would rather have Weathers.
Yeah.
And probably I think Henderson's really close.
I think I said Weathers was in a tier on his own. I think that's the only one I'd drop Baz for. They're still good in him. I'm like Luke Skywalker talking about Darth Vader. That's how I feel about Shane Baz.
It's just like watching this it's like Shane Baz pitching right now is the definition of the difference between command and control. Because like he throws the ball in the strike zone. He's not really walking people. It's just there is no intent with where he throws the ball in the strike zone. It's all like 4-seamers that are up, but not up enough. You know, it's like curveballs that are down, but not down enough. He's not far off, but it's not there right now for him.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to hitters coming alive in May. Jackson Holiday, 3 for 5 on Friday, and then he homered on both Saturday and Sunday. 14 games in May. He's hitting .316 with 4 home runs and a .940 OPS. Cody Bellinger had himself a big Subway Series, 3 hits on Friday. He homered on Saturday, and then what are you laughing at, Scott?
Every time I hear Subway Series, I hear that Subway, and I think sandwich is coming. And you said a big before it. So I was thinking he had a big Subway sandwich.
A foot long, yeah.
But then it was
little Italian
Subway
urban
Series.
cheese.
But the image was already in my head of him just chowing down on this giant.
I watched the Tim Robinson movie Friendship. I'm not recovered from it. Sorry, there's a subway that features somewhat prominently and also not at all prominently into the plot because there is barely a plot to this movie. It's one of the most insane theatrical experiences I've ever had. Sorry, that just reminded me of it. Also,
do you recommend this movie?
So I called my wife after the movie and she was like, "Was it good?" This movie is not it's not operating on the plane of good versus bad. This is they're going for something. I'm not even saying this as a compliment or a detriment to this movie. It is just not trying to be a good or a bad movie. It is sorry. Anyway, I feel like referring to the random interleague regular seasons as a Subway series kind of cheapens it. You know, like to me, the Subway series was 2000, right? Like that was the that was special. When we call we call everything a Subway series, it feels like, you know.
I heard the term before that World Series, though, just when interleague play started and the Yankees and Mets would face each other. So it was already in my vernacular. But I hear what you're saying.
Just feels like it should be more special. You know?
It just reminds me of a Subway sandwich. So
Cody Bellinger, by the way, I don't know if he had a Subway sandwich, but he did have a huge weekend. And he's on a 13-game hitting streak. And during that stretch, hitting .377 with 4 home runs, 11 runs, and 12 RBI. Dansby Swanson stayed hot, 2 for 3 with a sock and 2 shoes on Saturday, and then another steal on Sunday. He got moved down in the lineup on April 29th. 18 games since, he's hitting .387 with 6 home runs, 15 runs scored, and 3 steals. And then Rafael Devers is just so bad. In May, he's hitting .417 with 4 home runs, 19 RBI, and an 1190 OPS. Anything to add on hitters coming alive? Jackson Holliday, Cody Bellinger, Dansby Swanson, Rafi Devers.
It is extremely funny that Rafael Devers is now having his best season ever. Like by basically any measure, the underlying metrics are as better than they've ever been. The actual numbers, it's higher WRC plus than he's ever had. I think that's extremely funny. Like it just turns out that he had 5 bad games at the start of the season. And that really seems to just be it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't unreasonable to be concerned. But yeah, that's going to go down as an all-time overreaction, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Bellinger, he's looking good. He's looking like Cody Bellinger. He's looking like the guy you invested in him being. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Obviously, Grisham has crowded things there. Dominguez, because he had that 3-homer game, he's still in the mix.
I believe Ben Rice did not start any of the games this weekend.
Oh, man. He started Saturday. He started Saturday.
But he has basically he has sat out 2, 4, 6, 8, 4 of the past 8 games.
That's annoying.
It's not good. Yeah, man, that's annoying.
Because Goldschmidt's been great. And it's, there was.
I think Ben Rice is better than Bellinger on a skill level.
As a hitter, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
If he could play the outfield.
Yeah.
If he could play catcher.
Don't think they're going to do that, though. There was one report.
I think he did get an appearance.
He's gotten 3 appearances at least.
Oh, really?
Yeah, is it 3?
All right. Yeah. Was it like 6 innings? You don't have to look it up. It's fine.
It was 3 total innings in those 3 appearances.
Wow.
Let's see.
I don't know. Maybe he becomes the backup catcher when Stanton's back. I have no idea.
I mean, it's going to become a real concern with Ben Rice. Obviously, I think the chances of Stanton getting and then staying healthy for a long time are pretty slim, but he's already getting squeezed, and that's without Stanton, who was still a good hitter last year.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Holliday, his overall numbers at this point look pretty good for a second baseman. 275 batting average, 787 OPS, and with a strikeout rate low enough that you can believe it. I mean, the exit velocities are middling; they're slightly above average. and he's not like amazing with plate discipline, but it's all good enough. And if you factor in a little untapped upside, I think Holiday is. He probably is rostered in most leagues, but he deserves to be.
Yeah, the quality of contact stuff is above average. It's not amazing, but it's not like mediocre. It's pretty good all the way around.
60th percentile.
Yeah, with the improved plate discipline, I think it all works out. I would like to see him be more efficient as a base runner. He is a good athlete, but he's only 2 for 6, and that could help unlock even more upside. But yeah, it looks good for Jackson Holiday right now.
Hey, real quick, starting pitcher edition, a quick question on each of these pitchers. Corbin Burnes dominated the Rockies in Arizona, 6 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts. He had 19 whiffs in that game. And 2 starts after that shoulder scare. It's 13 shutout with 15 strikeouts here for Corbin Burnes. Is he back?
I think so. So apparently that shoulder inflammation was preventing him from working on his mechanics, and once he got the injection, that got him past that inflammation and was able to work with the pitching coach on fixing that cutter. He's had his two best starts of the season. So it all hinges on the cutter, as we've saw last year too. But I think I'm leaning towards Burnes being back.
The movement profile on the cutter isn't quite back. It was still more like 11 inches of induced vertical break that we're looking for more like 8. Which means he gets more drop. He did get like 3 inches more drop on his slider in this one, which I thought was interesting. And, maybe that's something that can help the cutter play up a little more. But that was one thing I noticed with him. Yes.
Got it. Hey, real quick, Zach Gallen, a terrible start against that same Rockies team in Arizona. 5 innings, 6 runs allowed, 4 homers allowed in this one, 12 hard hits against. He has 4+ earned runs in 5 of 10 starts this season. Do you start Zach Gallen at the Cardinals this week?
I'm trying not to.
It's not a blanket yes or no. Yeah, try not to, I guess, is fine. He's been throwing only 60% of his pitches for strikes this year, which is horrible. And he's a fly ball pitcher for the first time, which I don't know how to explain that, but that's more home runs, more walks. That's a bad combination.
Yeah. Zach Eflin got clobbered by the Nationals, 5 1/3, 10 hits, 8 earned runs, 4 homers in this one. He's at the Red Sox this week. Do you try and bench Zach Eflin?
Yeah, his first start back from the IL wasn't nearly as bad as this one. I would like to sit him, but you may not have that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I think he belongs on the drop-o-meter as much as some of those other pitchers we talked about there. Not because I think this start condemns him to a terrible season the rest of the way, but just because I don't think the upside is enough that you need to cling that tightly to your Zach Eflin.
Merrill Kelly, an awesome start against the Rockies, 7 shutout innings with 11 strikeouts, 16 whiffs on 109 pitches, 11 of those on the changeup. And what if Merrill Kelly is just back? What if he's just back to being a dude?
Sure. Yeah, like a mid to high 3s ERA, useful-ish pitcher. Sure.
I don't really know how to answer the question.
I feel better about him than Zach Gallen right now, which is more an indictment of Zach Gallen than an endorsement of Merrill Kelly. But yeah, Merrill Kelly's looked really good. This is what you're supposed to do against the Rockies away from Coors Field. So he did it.
Yeah, I mean, I could harp on some of the underlying data points as I did after Merrill Kelly's previous start, which was also great. But he's had 1 start where he's allowed more than 3 earned runs and only 2 starts where he's allowed more than 2 earned runs. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of good starts for Merrill Kelly. So you got to ride that for however long it lasts.
Yeah, he allowed 9 earned runs to the Yankees in his second start of the season. 8 starts since. It's a 2.02 ERA and a .80 WHIP. And right at a strikeout per inning for Merrill Kelly.
That one Ugly start.
Yeah, it's just one bad start.
Yeah.
And these two names, I don't know, they just kind of look like breakouts this season. Matthew Liberatore, another quality start this weekend, and then Reese Olson, 6 shutout innings, 6 strikeouts. Are you buying the breakout? Matthew Liberatore and Reese Olson.
I'm buying it on Reese Olson for sure. Of course, I liked him a lot coming in, but that's how that works. You're going to believe harder in the guy you believed in the first place.
We love confirmation bias, don't we, folks?
I mean, that makes it sound like it's flawed reasoning, but there was something you saw.
Yeah,
there was something you saw, and he's living up to it. So of course you're going to buy it harder. Liberatore has had immaculate control so far. I think unless a pitcher has a history of that, it's right to be skeptical of it. I think it'll be good as long as that continues. That's a hard thing to sustain.
Yeah, it's 8 walks and 9 starts for Liberatore, which is insane. It's just last year it was 2.9 walks per 9 for Liberatore. The year before that, 3.7. So maybe he's just, he's found a new level, and he's able to throw strikes. So we'll see if he can keep it up. Some pitching leftovers here. Part 1, Paul Skeens, Zach Wheeler, Chris Sale, Garrett Crochet, all awesome starts. Anything to add to those 4, what you saw this weekend?
So Skeens, there's just been a lot of talk lately about like the lack of strikeouts and whether that's a conscious decision. I think he's talked a little bit about that. There's a really good piece on Baseball Prospectus going into why he's struggled. It's mostly against righties, actually, which is, you would think the 6'6", 260-pound guy who throws 101-mile-an-hour fastballs would dominate same-handed hitters, but his strikeout rate's way down against righties. Even when things have been weird for him, I don't know about you guys, my faith in him has not been shaken at all. It's just like, because I didn't think he was the best pitcher in baseball already. So like, yeah, okay, he's not as good as Tarek Skubal. Okay, well, I'm not going to hold that against him. He's really good. I never thought about moving Paul Skeens down from the number 3 spot for me.
Yeah, I haven't either. I mean, if the underwhelming strikeout rate goes on for 6 more weeks, maybe I would, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Next group includes Joe Ryan, Logan Webb, and Tyler Mahle here. All great starts this weekend. Anything that stood out from those 3?
I have no faith in Tyler Mahle keeping this up. This seems like the single most obvious sell high candidate in baseball. That's not to say he won't be bad, but it's like a 19% strikeout rate and a 3.77 expected ERA. A 3.77 expected ERA is not bad, but if it's coming with well below average strikeouts, it's also pretty boring. So I think if you can trade Tyler Mahle right now for basically anything, I would do that.
Yeah, another way of putting it, it's because it's not just the lack of strikeouts for Mahle. It's the K rate is 29th percentile, and the walk rate is 50th percentile. I'm actually surprised the walk rate is that high. It's not a good walk rate. It's a very average walk rate.
Yeah, it's average. Yeah.
And then the final group, Pablo Lopez, Nick Pivetta, and Brian Wu, all strong starts as well. Anything to add on those 3?
Lopez has a new changeup. He also has his old changeup, but he has a new one in addition to. So last season, he threw 1 changeup all season with an RPM below 1,500. This season, he's already thrown 40. So he's got one of these new kick changeups that the whole goal is you throw it exactly as hard as you throw your normal changeup, but you kill the spin on it. And Lopez has always had a very high spin curveball. It's more of a high spin changeup. So this gives him another look. Pitch has been playing a little better than it did last year. His 4-seamers remained very good. It's nice to get the hot start from Pablo Lopez. Hopefully he can avoid the month and a half, 2 months with like a 5.50 ERA where everybody yells about him. I would love to see like one whole good season from Pablo Lopez.
Yeah. He's allowed 2 earned runs or fewer in 7 of 8 starts, and the velocity was up a little bit in the start as well for Pablo Lopez. Some hitting leftovers. Pete Crow Armstrong took full advantage of facing the White Sox. 8 hits, 1 homer, 8 RBI, 1 steal this weekend. James Wood continues his breakout. He had a home run, 2 steals this weekend. Cal Raleigh, 2 more home runs, massive season, 15 home runs so far for Cal Raleigh. Wyatt Langford, 2 for 4 with a sock and a shoe on Saturday, added another steal on Sunday. Matt Olson looks like he's coming alive. He had 7 hits, 2 home runs this weekend. And then CJ Abrams, quietly having, his best start yet. 3 for 5 with a double dong. He's got 8 home runs, 9 steals, 312 batting average. Anything to add on those names?
I do think maybe people are a little gun shy on Abrams, like buying into it being a breakout, because we kind of saw something similar last year. Hot start, didn't sustain it, was really bad in the second half. But one, he's just been better for longer than he was last year. The quality of contact metrics have taken another step forward. It might be another step forward with CJ Abrams, and everyone's just kind of a little bit afraid to talk about it because we don't want to get burned like we did last year.
Yeah, his expected stats and quality of contact are all amazing.
Yeah, no, like legitimately looks like one of the best hitters in baseball right now.
And his pull air rate is up. It's gone up every single year, but it is at its highest now. And so obviously he's maximizing that power unlike he ever has, in addition to it just being more power. So I definitely like what I'm seeing there. Incidentally, Matt Olson's pull air rate is way down. Curious. And I know at least one of those home runs this weekend was over the Green Monster. It was not one that would have left most venues. So yeah, I mean, hopefully he's getting right. The quality of contact is still incredible, like it's always been for Matt Olson. So I have faith in him, but it would be nice to see him pull more balls in the air.
All right, the call to the bullpen for the Reds. I mentioned this earlier. Emilio Pagan picked up a save each day this weekend. Still just 69% rostered. I mean, he's the guy, ride it till the wheels fall off type thing. For the Yankees on Friday, Devin Williams got the 8th inning with a 5-run lead. He struck out the side, including Pete Alonso. So trying to exercise those demons from the playoffs last year when Pete tagged him. Jerry De Los Santos then started the 9th inning, and he allowed a run on a hit and 2 walks. He was relieved by Luke Weaver, who got the final out for his 5th save. And then on Sunday, Devin Williams got the 8th inning with the game tied. Clean inning. He struck out 1. He's looking better recently. The Yankees tacked on, I think, like 6 runs in the bottom of the 8th, so then it wasn't a save opportunity anymore after that. For the Tigers on Friday, Tommy Canley got the 8th inning with a 2-run lead facing the top of the Blue Jays lineup. He gave up a solo home run and then struck out 2. I guess Will Vest was not available for this one because Bo Brisky picked up the save. Then on Saturday, Will Vest entered in the 8th inning with a runner on second. He gave up an RBI single to tie the game. Then on Sunday, Canley pitched in the 8th inning facing the heart of the – who were they facing? Blue Jays maybe? I'm not sure. Heart of the lineup. But then he gave up a hit. That was it. Will Vest got the 9th inning and picked up his 5th save. So, don't want to jinx it. Famous last words. But it kind of feels like Will Vest has been the 9th inning guy for quite some time now, right?
The last time Tommy Canley pitched the 9th was April 26th.
It's a pretty long time.
It's a while.
Yeah, that was, let me count them up, 9 appearances ago. Or 8 appearances ago, excuse me.
Yeah.
Can I go back for 1
9
moment?
appearances ago. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure.
We mentioned Brian Wu. His last 20 starts since the beginning of last August, he has gone at least 6 innings 17 times in that span. That is wild. Yeah.
When you don't walk anybody, I mean, yeah, you have that ability to be efficient,
If he can just stay healthy, I really think that's the only thing standing in Brian Wu's way. And he is currently very healthy, or at least looks it. I feel like I might have just jinxed him.
Oh, no, Chris.
Very healthy.
For the Rockies on Saturday, Zach Agnos pitched in the 7th inning with a 2-run lead. He struck out 2. It was Seth Halverson who later got the 9th with a 2-run lead. He allowed a walk but picked up his 2nd save. I believe this was the first Rockies save with their new manager. So I wonder if maybe Halverson's going to be the guy for their new manager.
I
don't know.
I mean,
Maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know.
we'll talk about it every 2 weeks when they win a game.
Yeah, like what's he gonna get? 18 saves?
Yeah,
at best.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be optimistic here.
I'm guessing no Rockies reliever will get double-digit saves. Bold prediction here on May 19th.
Very bold. For the Marlins on Sunday, 4-run lead. Tinoco pitched in the 7th inning, facing 6, 7, and 8 in the lineup. Then Calvin Fauché pitched in the 8th. Anthony Bender pitched in the 9th. I don't know.
Just when you think you have them figured out.
Marlins bullpen. Yeah,
I mean, if you gotta pick anybody, I'm still picking Tinoco, but not with much confidence at all. It's not much better than the Rockies situation.
Yeah, better team, but still bad situation.
For the Giants on Sunday, Ryan Walker struck out 1 for his 8th save. He also pitched a clean inning on Saturday. And then for the D-backs on Sunday, Kevin Ginkel pitched in the 8th. Shelby Miller got the 9th. He did allow 3 base runners, but did pick up his 4th save of the season. Again, we're watching to see if Justin Martinez could be back soon. To stream or not to stream on Monday, we have Ben Brown at the Marlins. We have Hunter Dobbins is facing the Mets. Dean Kramer, I wrote at Baltimore. That doesn't make sense. Dean Kramer at Milwaukee. Jose Soriano at the Athletics. Yeah,
don't love these options. I think Ben Brown at Miami is probably the best. I could see that one going well.
Yep. That's my first choice. I'll give you a second. Jose Soriano.
Yeah, that would be the second one. Yeah.
The Brewers offense has been ice cold. I don't think Dean Kramer is very good, but
the Brewers actually do have the worst WRC plus at home of any team in baseball. That's actually, when I was looking that up for the Rockies,
interesting.
That was pretty surprising. They've been horrible at home so far, the Brewers.
And then on Tuesday, we have Will Warren facing the Rangers. Nick Martinez is at the Pirates. We have Jameson Taillon at the Marlins. Ryan Weathers faces the Cubs. Zach Littell home against the Astros. Logan Henderson against the Orioles. Hayden Birdsong against the Royals. Gunnar Hoagland against the Angels. So lots of options on Tuesday.
Yeah, this is interesting. Wow. Who do we go to first? I guess I'm going to say Henderson, Logan Henderson against the Orioles, who have been bad offensively. I don't think that'll continue, but it has been true to this point. My second choice would probably be Nick Martinez at the Pirates, worst offensive baseball, and his control has been a lot better in his last 3 starts. The overall results have.
They have scored 3 or fewer runs in like 65% of their games so far, the Pirates.
Woof.
And then I'm just trying to figure out how high to put Ryan Weathers since he's facing the Cubs.
I like Hoagland. I like Hoagland against the Angels, man.
I don't dislike Hoagland. I think Jameson Taillon at Miami is going to be good. There's
Will Warren against the Rangers.
Yeah, no, there's some decent ones here. I think there's like 6 decent streamers on Tuesday. Which means the 2 start options should have been pretty good.
Yeah,
they were.
Yeah.
I like my sleeper pitchers this week.
I will just say with Birdsong, he's not stretched out too much yet, so he'll probably only go 4, maybe 5 innings. So probably don't want to use him in that one, but all those other names I do like quite a bit. All right, we're going to wrap there for Scott and Chris. I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning in to Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.